Hello and welcome to the third episode of What You Think. And this is the third episode, which means we'll be discussing the third episode of Loki. As always, for this Loki discussion, you're joined by me, Momo.
Melissa.
Jang.
And Fezz.
As usual, here's the normal overview. We're going to talk about the negatives, which I actually have a few this week, positives, discussions of wherever it may take us, whether we're going to discuss about Sylvie and Loki or what is love, we definitely shall, and our theories and guesses as to what might happen in the next episode and in the future. And first, let's get the negatives out of the way. I'm going to start us off. I thought this was the weakest episode of Loki so far. Do you guys agree? Yes?
Same,
No?
I agree. I
Yeah.
completely agree. I just felt that like it was definitely a change of pace for sure. I was confused, I guess, as well, right at the beginning because I was like, wait, what is all this talk about love? Yeah, I agree. It's probably one of the weakest. I got
mean,
really confused.
it's not much of a competition, but it's not by no means bad. Like it's
Yeah.
fine, but like I'm just saying, compared to the first two, it's the weakest, and there's no Owen Wilson, there's no Mobius, so
Mhm.
that's perhaps the reason why, if you were to analyze it to that aspect. But I think with this one, it just left a really bad taste in my mouth with the ending, because that cliffhanger, I think, just really rubbed me the wrong way because I planned having failed. I guess it was quite a nice moment to see the ship blow up, the inevitability of the apocalypse. You can't really outrun death, but and maybe when I look back and binge the show in the future, I'll be like, oh, that was actually a really powerful way to end the episode. But as a week to week TV show, I was kind of annoyed when it ended. I was like, oh, really? And it was quite short. I also thought that it started out really strong, but the urgency was kind of lost. I was like, oh, wow, they're really just getting the train rolling. No pun intended, but I guess it was intended. No, but yeah, the escape from the TVA, and then to end up with both of them fighting in that warehouse thingy majingy. I was like, oh wow, and then compound that with a moon that's about to fall on them. I was like, oh, the intensity is ramping up. But then when they got on the train, I thought it was a nice moment overall. But yeah, there was just no. You would think there would be more urgency, right? Like, oh no, we have to get the power source. But they were like, let's chill, let's drink, let's party. So yeah, those are three of the things that stood out to me in this episode. And I'm gonna pass it to Mel first, actually. Do you have anything that stood out to you in particular that was negative?
Well, I felt like, in a sense, just rethinking it over, it kind of felt like there wasn't a true purpose to this episode. I do agree with what Momo said about how the beginning started off really strong about, the whole, oh, so we have Lady Loki, aka Sylvie, she's being introduced. But then when we got to the middle of the episode, it's supposed like, well, it was the middle of the episode, but it didn't necessarily feel like the meat of the episode, if that makes sense. And I just kind of felt like maybe it would have been better if we just never had this to begin with. There was just, I felt like the urgency wasn't a very great pace. Like they didn't keep that throughout the episode, like what Momo said. It was just at the beginning and then at the end, but in the middle, it just felt so underwhelming. And especially with the way how Loki handled everything, he just felt very almost too calm. I don't even know what's going on with him in this episode in particular, especially in the middle. So yeah, so I guess
I'm
half the time I was kind of lost as well.
I'm gonna add to that a bit. Yeah, but I was a bit scared that they'd make him a bit of a dumbass, or like kind of neuter him down a bit. I was kind of scared of that but I gave it some thought, and I was like, to be fair, he did just come out from a beating from the first Avengers, seeing the images of his life. So I think he's kind of reached that point where we never really seen him before, where he's of the mind that nothing matters, because the TVA is gonna swoop in at any moment. You can't run from it. The apocalypse, he's gonna die. So I think his headspace is a bit lost. So I'll be nicer to him.
I guess that's something I want to touch on as well, but we'll do that in the later sections, not for this part. How about you, Fez? What did you think about this episode? Is there anything that you didn't particularly enjoy?
I agree also with Momo and Mel a lot. I didn't like it, nor did I enjoy it. It was like it was fine. I guess it was like a filler episode to something bigger later on in the season. But I just found this episode all over the place. The pacing was so messy. The pacing was all it was so off because it was just mainly Sylvie and Loki bickering. And the writing for this episode was really, really weak. I felt like there was not enough in the episode to make it exciting. If they wanted to do this episode, I wish they had an end of credit scene so that I'll be more satisfied. But like what Momo said, I also felt so unsatisfied after watching it. And I felt like they had a missed opportunity because there were a lot of fight scenes. The fight scenes, I enjoyed the fight scenes a lot, but it was a missed opportunity to explore and let Loki use his powers more to fight. I just feel like, I mean, it was cool that we saw his powers, but I wanted to see more of it. And I felt that was the opportunity to make the episode more interesting by showing off his powers. But yeah, this is one of the weakest episodes to me and the weakest writing. And fact, the writer for this episode is going to be the writer for Miss Marvel, so which is the new
Oh,
yeah, she's the
Wow.
writer. She's going to be the writer of Miss Marvel, which is coming out next year. So
Hmm.
I hope whatever constructive criticism comes from this, hope she learns and write it for better. Yeah, that's all I have to say. What about you, Jang?
Yeah, you guys mostly got all the points. It's just the mainly the pacing was just from the other two episodes, which was really like moving to this one where they're just stuck on that planet and they're still stuck there. They didn't get anywhere. And I thought maybe it would have been like Sylvie's episode, maybe they were trying to
Mm.
explain Sylvie and like how like explain her backstory, explain her powers and stuff like that. But they they didn't say anything about
Hmm.
her at all. Like it was just
Yeah.
like even Loki like probed her a few times, like, did they tell you your orphan? And so yeah, yes. And then just like, what is that? Oh, my mother, I don't know her. Like she's not
Mm.
giving us anything.
I see.
And
Hmm.
yeah, and even when they did explain her powers, I was just like, okay, just like that, lah. Okay. So they didn't give much, and I thought
Hmm.
maybe like they were gonna speed it up halfway through the episode or something, or something's gonna happen, but I just continued like that all the way to the end. So yeah, this one was really weak. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna interject a bit.
I
It
Hmm.
reminds me of me and Jang know this too well. We love Star Wars, and there's this
mm,
Star Wars episode of the Clone Wars. It's a Disney Plus show, funnily enough. So yeah, basically the whole episode is they're trying to escape from somewhere, but by the end they just end up back in jail, and it's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever watched. Like when it ended, you're like, what was the point of all this? And it doesn't help those two characters who are quite annoying.
Yeah, like
Hmm.
by the end of the episode, like the thing blew up, and then I was just like, so how? And that's it. So it's just like that, and then they just end it. I'm just like, then what was all that? Like I
Man,
thought like
I
maybe we're gonna get some nice dialogue or
it was
explain some
oh my god.
nothing.
Another another thing that I just wanted to just point out as well was I wasn't exactly happy with the way the relationship between Sylvie and Loki was developed in this episode. It kind of just felt like everything was set from the beginning and they just went straight to the I don't know, the poking, the pushing, the pulling, the bickering, but there was just no like I don't know, I just felt like there wasn't as much chemistry between the two of them as I would have liked. I don't know if that's just me. I think they did a good job, but I just felt like with the way everything was written,
Mm.
it just, especially with this episode and the pacing is just really off. I just,
yeah, so last week we said don't fuck it up, and I guess they kind of did. So
because
they
you
jinxed it.
build so much up towards Sylvie, towards Lady Loki, and then when we actually get to see more of her, we don't get to
Yeah.
know more of her as well. She's just there, and it's kind of like seeing a side character getting a lot of screen time. I know nothing about her. We build up so much momentum and tension towards her revelation, and then it's just stale. There's no gradual build up to who she is
Yeah.
even more. It's just, yeah. So I just hope they will do that next episode. But
Mm.
I guess I was just expecting that to happen, like what Jang said this episode. Yeah.
Yeah, this episode really made me miss Mobius a lot.
We're very worried for Miss Marvel, I guess.
Oh man, I'm so worried.
We
I
are
really
worried.
am.
thanks for bringing that up first, because I just assumed that one guy wrote it all, the guy who's doing the Doctor Strange movie. So I
Same
didn't know there
here.
were different. I didn't know there were. Oh, yeah, he's here, Jang. He's telling us all the spoilers. But yeah, I was under the impression that one person just wrote everything. So, that's an interesting thing. So I guess a summary of our negatives is that Lightning McQueen is like MSG. He just makes everything a bit better.
Exactly.
You need that.
Exactly.
You need that ka-chow. I'm gonna counterpoint Mel, where she said she wasn't feeling the chemistry between Sylvie and Loki. I thought it was there. I had like very one of the better parts of Thor: The Dark World, which I don't know why we keep on coming back to, but was the dynamic between Thor and Loki. You know, they're bickering on the ship, blah blah blah, and then they get into the more intimate moments when they're in the dark world. I felt a bit of that with Sylvie, and especially when Jang said he didn't really get much from Sylvie. I thought we got a bit because they're two broken individuals, and I guess I felt that I can see this relationship blossom, but in what way I have no idea. Brother sister, or lover lover, or Loki and the horse, who knows. But yeah, full props to the actress. And just a side note, this show is incredibly British now. Like
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Yes.
I personally felt like I was watching Doctor Who.
I don't
Oh
know
my
how is
god,
that a
it
good thing. Yeah.
does.
And I love the setting, just especially in the beginning, like, ooh, I just love when time is ticking, right? So the fact the moon is about to collapse on them, I thought it was like a nice touch. Especially the end, the visual style was just on point. It reminded me of, it was very Guardians of the Galaxy-esque. So the
Mm,
Guardians movies are some of my
Mm,
favorite MCU movies, especially the second one, because it's not afraid to go out there, We're in this
mm,
cosmic realm. Let's play around. Let's be weird, essentially. And I thought if the writing, as we all agreed, kind of fell a bit flat, I thought the direction was quite on point because I have a
mm,
thing for long takes, so especially at the end when you just had this one continuous tracking shot, I was like, oh, that's good. I just love
mm.
seeing uninterrupted camera cuts. Oh, and the humor, yeah, I thought was just on point, especially the bit with the lady in the beginning, that Texas lady. I thought it was just a lot of fun. But yeah, what did we all think about Loki singing? I was like, oh, this is nice.
Oh,
This is a nice
I
moment.
oh
love that
yes.
part. I felt like that was very Asgardian of him. Especially when he broke the cup and he said another. And I guess that this episode kind of felt really reminiscent, especially in the middle, and him talking about like what the whole topic to do with love was about. But he looked very nostalgic, very reminiscent, especially when he was talking about his mother. No matter what, Loki is and will always be Asgardian at heart as well. I kind of got that feeling, and it just felt very bittersweet to me, especially since now that we know that he can't ever go back to the secret timeline. This is it for him. So I really like that part. And yeah, I just wanted to like add on from what Momo said earlier, that I did felt that the visuals this time around really made up for the not so well written dialogues or scripts or pacing. The usage of neon lights, etc., and the camera work at the end, that was very fitting for a very apocalyptic feel, I guess, especially with how intense it was supposed to be at the end of the episode with the whole end of the world thing. I also love how they still managed to mix in an adequate amount of comedy in the most intense fight scenes so naturally. And yeah, I just felt like those are some of the points that I really like.
And also, I think Mel said something about the action. She wanted to see Loki play around with his powers. I thought we got that in spades here, like in the movies, all he really does is, hey, I can, I can, especially in the first Thor movie, I'm thinking about that scene where they're on the Rainbow Bridge and he's multiplied himself by 100 and he's just
I
he's just
love that.
laughing. He's doing that laughing thing to all the
wasn't
hey.
that wasn't that like a gif, like a meme gif at one point as well? I
I
really
think
liked
so.
that
Yeah, it
too.
was.
It
Yeah.
was since I was rewatching that like 2 weeks ago. It's so funny though. He's just
Mm.
cackling like
No, but like Loki using his magic to make sure the building didn't fall on him was so
mm,
Oh, that
cool.
was
I
cool.
love
Yeah.
that part. Yeah.
the
Oh yeah, I don't know
fireworks.
how that works. How does that work? How did he like he like has the force? Like
Yeah.
oh he stopped it. So I was like, oh cool.
Sometimes after scenes like that, I just have to question what exactly Loki's powers are because I'm just so confused. Like
Yeah,
he does all
exactly.
yeah. he says like manipulation and all this like duplication and stuff, but then he goes off to do other things like this, and I just get confused again.
Yeah, he just came out. He's just like, I got it, and he just moved it back. I'm just like, you can do that, man? Since when? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Could have used that against the Hulk. So yeah,
Oh
Exactly.
my
I was
god,
like,
yeah. Why did he not use that against the Hulk?
No idea. But like speaking of the first Thor movie, I'm not sure if you guys picked it up, but you know when Loki smashed his glass and says for
another.
another, it's also
Yeah.
it's like a
yeah, it's just like
reminiscence from the
Thor.
first one, right? When Thor came to
Exactly.
Earth and he said, I want another coffee. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I was alluding to, and I just really like that Asgardian touch, I guess. Yeah.
Remember how Mel said about Loki does it with the horse? Remember the first Thor
Oh,
movie? I
yep.
need a horse or something.
We can't forget that.
There's always something to do with horses here. But see, that's the thing. In this episode, Loki's actually drunk when he does that. Another, but Thor was just being a dick with the coffee.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That
I
is
like,
true.
I like this. Another. Natalie Portman's just like, the fuck. I think people are crazy for not loving it, but it's a top 5 MCU movie for me. So yeah, I'm gonna pass it to Fez. What stood out to you here?
I actually agree with Momo and Mel in terms of Loki and Sylvie's relationship. I agree with Momo. Like I think they had a lot of chemistry. I do like they had a lot of chemistry. I like how they were bickering and fighting with them. Loki was basically fighting with himself because I think out of everything in the MCU, this is like the first time he's interacted with someone with similar motives and attitudes. And in a way, their relationship helps understand and discover Loki more. But I do agree with Mel. Like, I don't mind the bickering, but it just dragged too long in the episode. If they just cut it down, I think it would have been fine. I also really love the scene where Sylvie asked Loki to describe what love is, and Loki couldn't describe what love is, and it just reflects that he never felt love, and he still feels he's not accepted by others. So I thought that was really sweet, and that was like, I guess, the only thing I liked in the episode. What about Jang?
So Jang, can you tell us, one of Fez's favorite parts was what is love? Can you tell us what love is?
Ooh.
No, like I did like that part. Like to be honest with the bickering with Loki and Sylvie I liked it, but it felt like too soon because they kind of just met. So while they were bickering, I'm just like, stop it, just ask her where is she from. Like I just want to know.
Sorry. Yeah.
And then when we get to like the nitty gritty, like what is that? He calls her Loki, and she's like, "Don't call me Loki."
Oh
It's like,
yeah, yeah.
okay, Varian, and just like, "Don't call me Varian." Like, then what? Sylvie. Okay. Then that's it. That's all you're gonna tell me. And then like she's like, "Oh, this plan was years in the. I was planning it for years," and then I was just like, fantastic. But then what? What is the plan? You just said you just bomb
Oh my
everything, and then that's it.
Exactly.
I
So
love
like,
how pissed off you are right now. It's giving me
no,
mood.
because they got so close to like giving me answers, and then after
It's
that they're just like,
true.
Yeah.
Actually, it's true. Actually, what you say, it's really true, because so many times when Sylvie was like, well, I'm on a mission, and then Loki's like, well, what's the mission? Jang is actually right. Like, they would just start bickering when we were so close to finding out what the hell is happening.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that I am grateful for another episode. I will always be grateful for Loki, but this episode kind of almost felt like as if you're trying to reach the word limit.
yeah,
That's so
exactly. Yeah, they were
true.
just yeah.
Spicy.
No, but to be honest, the humor was good. Like like
Yeah.
the one where they tried to talk to that lady, that was funny, and then
Yeah.
Loki was like, "Oh, love is hate. Let me write that down." So that was all good, but like not now. Maybe like next episode. Like I want to know about her first. So like
Yeah.
yeah, it was to be yeah. So the humor was good, the action was good, but it was annoying me that I don't understand Sylvie. I was just looking at her like, explain yourself. Like, what are you doing? So yeah, that was just annoying me the whole episode, and it never got answered to the whole episode. So yeah, that was the thing that was getting me and stopping me from enjoying it. But really the humor and the action and the like Momo said, the cinematography, that final shot at the end, that was all really good. It's just I couldn't enjoy it while thinking about Sylvie. So yeah.
Mm.
So in summary, you wanted to know.
Yeah, I want to know.
Summary.
You want to know, eh? You want to know about the episode. That's the thing. I was thinking like we only have 6 episodes left, and we were going on about like, oh, the pacing in the show is incredible for the first two, but like, yeah, with only 3 episodes left, I don't see how they're gonna wrap it up with this much. And
Oh,
unless they
shit.
increase the length of the next episodes, right?
Oh,
Because
shit.
as soon as I saw this episode was like 42 minutes, I was like, eh,
Mm.
Oh,
what is happening? I
now
was
you're
like,
making me
pending,
worried.
pending.
To answer the question about about the timekeepers also being former humans, and we're gonna have to deal
Yes.
with such a
Um,
big question in
I'm
three
gonna
more
put on my
episodes.
I'm gonna put on my net voice. Actually, I don't think it was the timekeepers. It was the people who work at the TVA.
Oh yeah,
The biggest bomb of them all. That
We
the
were.
TVA. That
my
I was like,
eyes
oh
widened
yes.
so much.
Same here.
That the people who work at the TVA were actually variants. So how does that
Dun
happen?
dun dun.
A plot twist to enter a plot twist, and Sylvie knows she does not like the TVA, so I'm going to pass it to our resident writer who knows all the secrets of the episodes before they come out because he's writing them. Jang, what do you think it means? Why? Tell us more. The timekeepers reveal.
Uh, to be honest, that reveal wasn't that shocking to me. I was just like, oh, okay. No, but that's what I think they do with variants because like Loki. Remember in the first episode, he was in there was that queue, and then they have
Yeah.
to queue up. So it does make sense that every variant that they find, they just take them through the queue, and then they take them to the back and wipe their memory, and then say work for us. So I was like, oh, it just kind of like um closes up like the logic of the TVA. I'm just like, where did all these people come from? Like, like how like some TVA people die during missions or they just die.
Yeah, yeah.
So like if they were all made by the timekeepers, then there must be a set number of them, and then every time one dies, then that's it lah. So the number of Minutemen is decreasing, but like it makes sense now that they are variants, so that when a variant comes out, it's just like, oh, we don't need to erase them. We just turn them into a worker lah. Done. Easy. Free labor. So why not? So yeah, it more just closed up everything nicely for me. It didn't really like, oh, like this changes everything. It's just like, oh, so that's how they do it.
You wanted to know and you were satisfied, eh?
No, I didn't need to know, but since they tell me, okay.
So this man just really wants some answers. So, Fez, how about you? What do you think it all means? The TVA, Mobius, how does it all fit?
I was also like Mel. I was shocked as hell. I was like, what the hell? But I feel like it's kind of following the path of WandaVision. Momo and Jang, you've watched WandaVision. It is kind of following it. It's like everything is not what it seems. And like it kind of like the brainwashing their workers, as well as like the big organization for WandaVision Sword was hiding something. So the TVA must be hiding something. And I feel like also when reflecting, how at the beginning of this episode, the hunter had like a memory from like ages ago, which Sylvie used to help manipulate to get answers. I feel that Mobius' obsession with the jet ski means something in his past life. That's what I think. And okay, I'm gonna go on a rant here, but like before episode 3, I've been on TikTok and read a lot of the theories, and there's this one theory which I think it could be true. Basically, a lot of fans are predicting that there's a secret villain that will come later in the show called Kang the Conqueror, and Kang the Conqueror, it's confirmed to be a villain in the third Ant-Man movie, and in the comics, he is one of the timekeepers.
Oh.
So
Oh, shit.
Oh.
they're predicting he's a secret villain, and
Not so secret anymore, isn't
no,
he?
and also in the comics, this secret villain, Kang the Conqueror, the love interest was Renova, which was the judge, and also she was the judge of Loki when Loki first arrived at the TVA. So maybe they're working together. And also from Reddit and TikTok, they're saying like the timekeepers, they want to rule the timeline. If the multiverse can happen, it's just that if with the multiverse, ruling the timeline will be much harder. So that's why the TVA, they created a TVA to be really strict so that people stick with the timeline so they can rule this certain timeline. Yeah, that's the Reddit and TikTok theories I discovered for the
Also,
past week. Yeah.
so Thanos, wait, not Thanos. Kang the Conqueror is supposed to be the next Thanos level threat, is it?
Yeah, that's what people are
Oh.
predicting. Yeah.
Oh.
You say Thanos threat, don't you mean an Avengers level threat?
Avengers level.
But I think we can all agree also. We can all agree, I think, that Loki ain't going back to the TVA, right?
Yeah, I don't
think
think
so.
so.
Okay, I'm gonna let Mel, share her views on theories before I delve into mine.
Oh my gosh, my views and theories are pretty much tame. We should have made Fez go last.
Oh dear.
Because hers is just so good. I honestly just feel like, well, I guess it kind of ties in with what Fez has said. I feel like at this point, we're just going to go into that whole archetype of here's the system. So we're supposed to follow the system, but guess what? There's something wrong with the system. So we're just going to have to overthrow the system kind of plot. And I think that's what's happening at the moment. And yeah, I think tying in with the theories that we made in the previous episode as well about how Loki might work with Sylvie to get rid of the TVA, etc., etc. I do feel like that theory has pretty much gotten a bit more solidified in my head after this episode, but we shall see, because as Jang said, no questions were answered today. Instead, we had more questions and questions that we want to know the answers to, but we didn't get anything. So yeah, there's nothing much I can say about theories because I purposely don't roam around the internet as much to avoid any scene spoilers prior to watching. So yeah.
Yeah, we want to
And then
know.
you have me literally Googling leaks. I know what happens in Fast 9 and it is so ridiculous that it is. If you guys watch the movie, you will laugh your socks off. Okay, but where was I? I think, in line with what everyone said about Kang the Conqueror.
The three lizards.
Kang the Conqueror. So let's say these timekeepers, I don't know much about Kang, but let's say these timekeepers are, let's say they are three, I don't know, they like, as Loki says, sacred beings, yada, yada, yada. So I guess Kang is someone who might go rogue, right? Is it? Or are the timekeepers just bad?
I feel like they're just bad.
Okay.
I think so too.
So here's my thing. I think the timekeepers are just these three powerful beings. They don't necessarily have to be sacred or whatnot. That man are doing is they're just exerting their will onto the world. So this device is trying to make the perfect world. I don't know what their motives are, but yeah, these timekeepers, or the three of them, are definitely bad people who aren't letting or maybe they lost something in the multiverse war, so they're trying to prevent that. So it's not even about having purely good motives, if that makes sense. No, that really doesn't. But they're just trying, because the best villains are always the villains that you see their point, right? When we think of Thanos, he just wants to bring balance after seeing his world gone to shit. Another great villain in
scarce resources,
scarcity. Yes, he's trying to solve the great economic problem of our time. We have Killmonger, who rising up for injustices. You see their points, and then you have Ivan Vanko from Iron Man 2, who really wants his bird. I want my bird. Yeah, so some of these villains are just. So I guess that could be the because you got to make the villain sympathetic, right? So I guess that could be it. Like, we want to bring order because we've seen what a multiverse war brings about, which I guess is everything they just told us in the first episode. So I have revealed nothing new and just went on a somewhat useless tangent. I think Loki is probably going to take over the TVA somehow. So that's how Tom Hiddleston will stay in the MCU forever and ever and ever. But
A
the
part of me
question,
thinks that they're gonna make Loki die, and Marvel's just gonna be like, "All right, fangirls, you've been asking for him to have his own show. You got it, but at what cost?"
everything.
Everything.
No, but so I just thought of something. You know how you've seen these in the trailer, you see the vote Loki stuff where he's up for election or whatnot.
Yes.
For all
Ah,
we know, that could like literally be the end of the episode. Let's decide who shall become
Aww.
the new timekeeper. Vote for Loki.
ah,
So
Aww.
that could be it. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. But all we know is, to sum it all up, we want answers. If we don't get answers, we're about to go next. There was an interview with Tom Hiddleston. He was said he's really excited for the fans to see episode
Episode
4.
4. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
episode
have
5.
high hope. Yeah. I have
yeah.
high hopes now.
So
That's why that's why I was just thinking that I have every confidence that next episode will be much better. It was just unfortunate that this episode was just not to everyone's cup of tea, unfortunately.
It's just the
yeah,
fact that it took so long. Like we have 6 episodes only, and then
Mhm.
what for waste time drinking and
It's
you-
true though.
Yeah, I totally agree.
this episode just running off like, oh no, a moon is about to collapse, and then you have let's chill and drink. You would think Sylvie would be like, come on, let's get to like the fun of the station and like get a power thingy for our tempad. I thought, there was no urgency. The moon is about to collapse on you, and you're just like, eh. But he does go into I'm hedonistic. Everything is just effed anyway, so eh.
No,
So
they were
can
just
you
like,
really-
it's 12 hours till it crashes. So it's just like, yeah, I got time lah.
Oh,
Like, why you
I
so
must-
chill?
That's the thing.
I must have missed. I think I missed that. Huh.
It was the
Was it
night. It's
12
like the
hours?
night before deadline. I didn't recall that. I
Oh.
think I missed that as well.
Or maybe
I
I'm
totally
just
missed that.
No. Jang is right. Yeah, they did mention the 12 hours. I also heard it. Yeah.
okay. I'm not
Ah.
imagining.
I got your back, Jang.
Thank you.
It's okay. It's all right, Momo. I got your back, Momo. We both missed it.
So I guess with that note, we should start wrapping up our discussion on this episode. So does anyone have any final thoughts? And I'm going to do something we've never done before. Let us rate this episode.
Yes.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Fezz first. What would you rate this episode out of 10?
I would rate it a 5 out of 10. I'm so sorry. I look, it was average. I had some good times, but then most of the time I was kind of bored. It was average. There was a lot of missed opportunity to explore Loki and Sylvie better. Yeah, 5 out of 10. I'm hoping better for the next episode.
It
I had
sounds
some
like
good
you're breaking
times.
up with someone.
I had some good times but it was a bit boring. Sounds like my first year at uni. So, Jang, out of 10, what would you give it?
4.
Oh, and oh man.
Oh,
No,
ow.
No, it's
Whoa.
mostly because like no the that's the thing. It was good in terms of like action and
Yeah.
and some of the bickering was fun, but just I want to know, and they got so close every time. I'm just there like,
And they
"Yo!"
drag too much.
Yeah, and then we got nowhere from the whole episode. So yeah, sorry, 4.
And Mel, out of 10, is it a 3? Are we going 5, 4, 3? And I'll give it 2. I'm gonna
Well,
guess. It's gonna be a 6 from you.
Oh, well, I would have liked to say a 5.5, but after thinking it through for the past 5 minutes, I'm gonna have to go for a 4.5.
Ooh.
Honestly, I was thinking the exact same as Jang. I wanted to give a 4, but then I'm adding a 0.5 because I just can't help but see Tom Hiddleston and be like, I want to give him some love, so we're adding that 0.5 in.
Momo, your turn. I'm curious about your rating.
I'm actually, I'm not. I'm very. Jang knows this. Every movie I see, I give it a 10. Or like a 9. I'm very. What is
Oh, I love that.
Wow.
it? See, my scale is only when something is bad. That's when I get really annoyed.
He's either best movie ever or worst movie ever. There's no
Oh my
there's no
God.
middle. There's just best thing
That's
I've
the
ever
thing.
seen and then
See
worst
that.
thing I've ever seen. Oh my.
There is no such thing as a spectrum. It's either this or that.
I'm gonna break from the norm of my binary good, bad, and I'm gonna give this episode a 6. I thought overall
Okay.
the direction was quite strong. I like seeing more of Sylvie. Tom Hiddleston's always delightful. The action was on point. Yeah, it didn't really go anywhere. By the end, I was a bit annoyed. The writing did fall a bit flat, way too short. But I still had a fun time. I always say, for me, it's always about sticking the landing at the end. I'm more forgiving when an ending is strong. Like, let's see, Loki episode 1, you end with, that really emotional moment of Loki looking back to his life, this kind of confronting a part of himself. That's a powerful way to end. And then you have a nice little cliffhanger. And then with the second episode, you have, the plan unveiled, the jigsaw pieces are starting to be pieced together. But with this one, you literally just end on them failing the mission. In retrospect, might be a really powerful moment, but uh, if on a week-to-week model, I was just really annoyed. So like if they ended this episode with them somehow leaving, see that's the thing with there's a formula to this series, it's always setting up for the next one.
I
So
guess in a way, like this episode felt really empty, and it kind of maybe possibly reflects the way how Loki and Sylvie kind of feels. I mean, Sylvie just failed her mission that was years in the making, and Loki just ended up there from 2012. So I guess, and it felt like a really reflective episode in my opinion as well, with the talks of Asgard, etc. So maybe that kind of just reflected in the ambience, the vibe of the episode. I don't know. I'm trying to go deep here.
I feel like if this whole show was just a 6-episode binge, you'd be like, who cares? Next episode, click. But it's one we think you gotta give us something. We are hungry people. So I guess the sum of this episode in 3 words would be, I don't think it's 3 words, but whatever. We want to know.
I guess also for the last 2 episodes, it was fine that it was weekly because then we get to absorb what happened and all the answers. But this episode, we're like, okay, we need to now. That's when we're like, okay, we need the binge episodes now. Like this is when we need all of them to be out now.
So as usual, if you're listening on whatever platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, who knows, thank you for your continued support, whoever's listening. Please rate and review our show, and thank you for getting us to number 6 on the top charts of TV and film podcasts in Malaysia. That really was
thank you guys.
astounding in our second week. So don't forget to keep on listening, and if there's anything you want to say to us, don't forget to DM, leave a comment. We're open to anything you guys want to talk about, or criticisms or discussions you'd like for us to bring up. So yes, thank you, and see you all again next week.
Thank you guys so much.
Bye guys.
Bye.
But we're saying bye to the audience or bye to us?
Audience first, obviously.
Yes.